Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Badger Pack Sports. Going to be doing it a little bit different today because we're going to be doing a mock draft of all 32 teams. So, not just a Packers only mock draft, but just kind of give us a good idea of who's all going to be drafted. Going to be going through that with my co host, Justin Legal. Justin, how's it going?
Hey, we're promoted to GMs today of
Yep,
32 NFL teams. So let's
yep,
take full advantage of this opportunity. Kill us in the comments,
yep,
if we're wrong. We're probably gonna be wrong about 80% of these picks, but that's what's fun about mock draft season is
yep.
to dream, to speculate, to really unpack and question what each team is gonna do. So this is always a fun time of
Oh
the
yeah,
year.
and for some of those Badger fans who are not Packer fans, this could be kind of a fun one. Maybe we'll get some people talking about our terrible picks for their team on here. So I know there's at least a couple Cowboys fans out there, maybe a Cardinals fan. Ryan Herring's San Francisco 49er fan. So just the ones I know off the top of my head.
Yeah, and I got plenty of folks that listen to the channel. We got a diehard Titans fan. That's one of our big commenters. So Drew Tag, shout out to you. We're going to be talking
Yep,
your Titans at pick one. But yeah, we talked about this in the Packer mock drafts. We have version 1.0 and 2.0 will be live when this video comes
yep,
out. So you should all be familiar with the PFF interface here. But you have the ability to pick a specific team, or in our case today, we're going to pick
yep,
all. We are not going to do any trades, though we anticipate draft night. Hopefully, there are some trades. It always makes things a little juicy, a little spicy. So, no
yep.
trades, and we're only going to do round one today. We want to make sure this video doesn't take 4
Yep.
hours.
Yeah. PFF, not a sponsor, but we'll take a free subscription for a month if they want to give it to us.
Absolutely. We would not say no to that. But yeah, so here's the draft order, and let's dive in. We're going to
Yep.
start with pick one, and we're going to
Yep.
start the draft. And
Yep. And
Mr. Sorensen, we're gonna go back and forth, and
yep.
you're gonna have the luxury of being the Tennessee Titans GM.
All right, and obviously, this is a big board, but I'm gonna go Cam Ward, even though he is not number one. So
Ranked
ranked
21st
21.
in PFF. Give me your 30-second defense of Cam Ward. Why would you pick
He
him?
the Tennessee Titans do not want Will Levis as their starting quarterback next year, and Cam Ward's the top quarterback in this class.
Okay. Interesting to see what the Titans do there. Pick number two, we have the Cleveland Browns on the clock, and I'm really torn what they do here. That we know the Deshaun Watson debacle of how that's turned out. We know that
Yep.
they're essentially a cursed franchise with quarterbacks. Um, I think personally, if I'm at their in their office trying to make a move, I think Shador Sanders is the guy. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but I think he's a guy that could come into Cleveland, inject some life into the franchise. Maybe a Johnny Manziel that's not a partier, but that type of energy into the room, and maybe he can bring, elevate the talent around him. I think the Browns have a solid, uh, defensive line with Miles Garrett, so I think Abdul Carter might just be a little too much.
Yep.
And Travis Hunter, I don't know. I think you got to go quarterback, and you're in this position here, and at least taking a shot on a guy like Shador Sanders. So that's who I would take at two.
Yep. All right. The New York Football Giants. I am definitely going to go with Travis Hunter. I think this one just makes sense. I think they get a corner, but they also get a guy who can play receiver, and I think that'll end up being doing good for them as well.
Yeah, him and Malik Neighbors. That'd be interesting
Yeah.
duo in the receiving room with dangerous Russell Wilson
Mm-hmm.
or famous Jameis. You got dangerous and
Mm-hmm.
famous Jameis. Well, we'll see who wins that battle.
Yeah.
New England, they eat everything. And I think personally, I think the best player in the entire draft is on the board with Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
I know there was some injury concern coming into the combine. I'm taking him here, expecting that his bill of health is going to clear, and I think he can be a disruptor. They bring in Mike Vrabel, defensive guy. You got to think they want to establish some defensive disruptors, and I think Abdul Carter fits that bill very well. Played at Penn State. Penn State kind of gives you a little New England vibes too, with how their program's structured and how they run things. So really love Abdul Carter going to New England. If I'm New England, I'm ecstatic.
All right. I think this is where I shake things up because almost every mock draft I've seen has the Jacksonville Jaguars going Mason Graham, but I'm going to go with Tyler Warren here.
Wow. Back to
I
back Lions.
Yeah, so I think right there, just going with they lost Evan Ingram, and now you're replacing a 6'3" good receiving tight end with another good receiving tight end, but 6'6", ability to block. I think just a very versatile weapon, and I think the Brock Bowers hype from last year is going to carry over.
Yeah, Tyler Warren's an absolute stud. Um, Coming to the Las Vegas Raiders, with Tom Brady being one of the many owners of that franchise. Curious to see what they end up doing. And honestly, I see them swinging for Ashton Genty.
Yep.
Running back's a need for them. They need playmakers. I have my reservations. He's a smaller guy at 5'9". Maybe not the greatest quality of opponent. We saw him kind of be showcased in the college football playoff against Penn State. He looked pretty normal. He had his moments, but was a guy that did jump off the screen. But maybe it's just because his offensive line was overmatched.
Yep.
But I think it's a guy that the Raiders could swing for, and I think he just screams Las Vegas Raiders. So let's take Ashton Genty, lock him in at pick number 6.
All right, the New York Jets. It's going to be a tough one. Like I said, I had actually seen Tyler Warren going there to help Justin Fields, which I thought was going to make sense because I liked him with Cole Kmet there in Chicago. So now we'll switch it up. Think we will get him some protection and go Will Campbell here.
Yeah, Will Campbell's a stud. I think it's a great pick. Carolina, I think this is where we see the first receiver come off the board. Bryce Young had a really strong finish to this 2024 campaign, and I think now it's with Canales and the coaching staff are going to want to have a high ceiling receiver that can maybe have a good partnership with Bryce Young. And I think Ted McMillan of Arizona, 6'5", dude's just got size. He's got great hands. I think he's a guy that would partner well with Bryce Young. So I'm going to take Ted McMillan for Carolina at pick number 8.
Yep, and then I think this one, after you take a receiver there, I think this just makes sense for the Mason Graham fall to stop, and we will go him. They need some defensive line help, and you're getting one of the top guys there at the position.
Saints eat everything.
Yep.
Yeah, in Chicago, I'll make this one a little quick here. I think
You're
Bears,
just going to the bottom of the board, right? Just getting the worst guy.
Yeah. I'm curious, and I'm generally curious to see what the Bears do here. Ben Johnson, new OC, or not OC. He is the new OC, but also the head coach. Is he going to want to establish his identity in the offensive side of the ball? I'm a bit torn what they do here. I think they have needs across the board. Safety being one of them. I think Malachi Starks makes a lot of sense here for the Bears. So let's scoop him up here as a top safety on the board in a position of need here.
It's not a crazy one that someone made sense. They took a Marion Hampton in one of the mock drafts I saw, running back out of North Carolina.
Yeah.
So, okay. Ooh, the San Francisco 49ers here. I'm going to give him Jahdae Barron. I think that one makes sense. Them losing.
Yeah.
Charvarius
Ward. Yeah. Oh, Dallas Cowboys. What they need a lot. New head coach. I think with the people on the board here, I'm kind of looking at Mike Green, guy that played at Marshall, has a very high ceiling, but I think there's a lot of unknowns about his floor. I think him maybe learning under Micah Parsons, partnering up with him, I could see that being a pretty disruptive duo on the edge. 6'4", 250, younger guy. I'm going to take Mike Green here and see if Mike Zimmer can work any magic with that defense with him.
Yep. Let's see. Dolphins, I think you got to keep protecting your quarterback, and I'm going to go Armand Membu out of Missouri.
Anything to give Tua no more concussions. So, yes, great investment there in the offensive line. And now we have the Colts coming up here, and they need a lot of players. I was looking at Will Johnson here. They did invest heavy in their secondary in free agency, so I'm feeling like they may be looking elsewhere. Um, seeing some positions of need here. I think this is a spot. If we were doing trades, I could see the Colts looking to move back a little bit, acquiring some more picks. But since we're in a position here to draft somebody, I'm looking. I'm probably gonna just take one of the better edge players on the board, James Pierce Jr. Um, Colts did lose a couple guys in free agency. They needed some depth there. I could see James Pierce fitting well with that defense.
Yeah, but then moving on to the Atlanta Falcons, I think the injury is going to be the big thing, but I'm going to take him anyway because I like him, and that's Jihad Campbell.
And the injury, for those that aren't aware, torn labrum for him. They're saying about a 6 to 9 month recovery, and that was probably most of the reason why he slipped to 15. I think Robbie and I would have taken him much sooner, if that injury concern hasn't been brought up. And since we are a Packers show, if Jihad falls to us at 23 or is in this range, I would not be opposed, even with the injury concern there, for the Packers to look at trading up to a pick there to acquire a guy like him. Anyway, so we're off to the Cardinals, and I'm looking at Will Johnson, one of the best corner on the board, position of need for Arizona. So Will Johnson, little injury concern there, but a guy that I think the Cardinals would love to have sit there at 16.
All right, now we got the Cincinnati Bengals. I think this one just makes sense to go with Kenneth Grant. They're giving the big boy in the middle.
Stuff to run. Their defense needs all the help they can get.
Yep.
Looking at Seattle, they need edge. Donovan Ezeriku. I hope I apologize if I'm saying that name wrong.
Ezeriku, I do believe.
Ezeriku.
Yep.
A guy that's kind of been flying up boards of late. He's tested really well. Really good athlete. It's a position of need, so it's kind of a win-win situation for Coach McDonald and the Seahawks.
All right. Then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. Let's see. I feel like they just lost Chris Godwin. I know they have Mike Evans. Did they replace him?
Godwin's back. Godwin signed back.
Oh yeah, Godwin did sign back. That's
Yep.
why I was like, because I was hoping he would be a Packer, but then he re-signed. No. So I think probably going. That should make sense. DB. Who we got for DBs? Can you pull
You're
that
gonna filter on corners or safety?
Yeah. Ooh, nobody really there. We can go to safety.
Oh, we get the corner filter off. There we go. PFF has MORA quite high, like ranked pretty low.
Really low. I think I might go Nick Emenwariye though. I think he's gonna fly up. He had such good combine numbers. I'm gonna take him there.
Yeah, I think him and who's the guy from Minnesota that Tampa has in their city? Winfield
Yep.
Jr. That could be a pretty nice duo there.
Yeah.
I like the pick. Looking at Denver, I'm looking at Omarion Hampton coming off the board here. They're dire need a running back.
Yep.
I can see him partnering with Bo Nix, Sean Payton's offense. That could be a good combination.
Yep. All right. The Pittsburgh Steelers here. Give them Josh Simmons, the tackle.
They need a lot of offensive line help. Okay. The Los Angeles Chargers. And this is where I can see a couple things going. And I'm actually going to look at Jim Harbaugh. He is big on linemen. He's big on tight ends. I can see him coming down and scooping up Colson Loveland from Michigan.
Yep.
Strong player. I think people might think receiver, but I'm just looking at the reality of the situation. Jim Harbaugh is not known to invest draft capital into receivers.
No.
So I'm looking at Colson Loveland from Michigan for the Chargers.
How dare you do this to me? You leave Matthew Golden on the board, Michael Williams, and Shamar Stewart. This is just, this is painful on who to take here.
Hey, Luther Burden's on the board too. Don't
And
forget.
Luther Burden's on the board. I like Matthew Golden better than Luther Burden.
Yep.
Um, ooh, we're the GMs here. Ooh, this is so tough. Oh,
And again, just to recap the situation, why Robbie is processing the receiver room. Christian Watson out for most of the
yeah,
year. Inconsistencies with Dontavian Wicks dropping passes and Romeo Dobbs concussion head injury history and Jaden Reed having ups and downs. Receiver is definitely a need. Edge, Lucas Van Ness, I said enough.
yep.
There's a lot
Nope.
of
I'm gonna go with the Packers will still not draft a receiver. They're going Michael
wow.
Williams.
Wow, what the injury concern.
Yeah.
All right, we got another Georgia Bulldog coming to Green Bay with Michael
Yeah.
Williams, and that leaves our friends to the west, our Minnesota Vikings. And I'm looking at Walter Nolan. They need some help on the interior. They brought in Jonathan Allen this year. They had a lot of issues stopping the run. So I have them looking at him at pick 24.
I think this one's easy, and it's just the college connection. Emeka Ibuka.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think CJ Stroud will be phoning in to the front office if Ibuka's on the board there.
Yep.
Looking at the Rams, I think they need some more protection for Matthew Stafford. They invested 2 more seasons or another season into him. I think Calvin Banks out of Texas can swing and to play guard, but also tackle. So I think he's a strong pick there to solidify the line.
Yep. I think we're gonna go the other Georgia Bulldog, Jalen Walker here with the Baltimore Ravens pick at 27.
Let's send it there for Jalen Walker. And our other NFC North foe, the Detroit Lions. And they have a list of needs, and I'm looking at Shamar Stewart here. And honestly, this would pay me to see him go to Detroit because I think Shamar is a strong athlete. But I think
Yep.
the Lions saw the pain of them with all the defensive injuries, especially the pass
Yep.
rush with Hutchinson coming down. So I have them taking Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M.
All right. Then the Washington Commanders. All right, let's see. Running back, edge, corner. I think maybe I feel like if Maxwell Hairston had the one thing hanging out, I could see him going here. You already took the other running back there. Wide receivers, they don't need a wide receiver. I think they take Gray Zabel.
Tackle out of North Dakota State.
Yep, but he's a versatile guy, so I think he can play all over the line there. I think that'd just be good to never hurts to solidify an offensive line in front of a great quarterback.
All right, Buffalo Bills. I think they invested money into Josh Allen. They need weapons around him. Mark Cooper's gone. I know they paid Khalil Shakir some money, and they have the young guy out of Florida State. Is it Keon Coleman? I see
Yeah.
Luther Burden coming into Buffalo, coming into an offense led by Josh Allen and really shining. So I'm going to have the Bills coming up taking Luther Burden.
Ooh. This one's hard because I feel like they don't need too much. Defensive line, I say give them a Derek Carmen here, the Kansas City Chiefs at 31.
Yep, I think that's a safe and smart pick. And here at the Super Bowl champs, the Eagles, and here I'm looking at their needs, and from a receiver room standpoint, they got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Is a Matthew Golden hurt? I don't think so. I think he's a strong value talent, but I'm going to look at the defensive side of the ball. They lost Hassan Reddick.
Yeah.
He's gone. So I could see or no, Josh Sweat. Hassan Reddick
Yeah.
was 2 years ago. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yep.
Josh Sweat's gone. So I can see a Nick Scorton, Texas A&M, pretty solid edge guy coming in and going under Vic Fangio's defense. So I'll close this out there with a Nick Scorton and
No.
your boy
Ma-
Matthew Golden slips
Matthew
out of the
Golden,
first round.
I'm like, he's got to get drafted. He's got to get drafted. You want Luther Burden, and then I thought maybe you take him with the Eagles, but yeah, no, I think it makes sense still to go edge for them. It's like it's hard because I think some of the teams kind of shored up their wide receivers a little bit there, and so
Yeah, and free
just
agencies really shaped out some of the contracts that were signed, right? I
yeah,
probably wouldn't have picked Luther Burden if Josh Allen did sign that big deal. I can just see them wanting to put tools around him,
hmm
especially with
yep,
how the board was late in the first round. I think the defensive talent kind of falls off for a bit. I, I think there's gonna be a lot of trades in the first
yeah,
round, just because if you notice, there's a lot of decent guys there's a lot of top end guys in few positions. So I think a lot of teams are going to want to move up,
yeah,
like a Tet McMillan, top receiver of the board. I think there's a pretty big drop off, in my
yeah,
opinion, from him to the next guy in line, which I think for us, the receiver came out at 8. Our next receiver didn't come off the board until Ibuka at 25. I mean, that
yeah.
shows you that drop in talent. At
Yeah, and I
least,
was gonna say the only reason that I took Ibuka there was literally just the CJ Stroud connection. I think that works, but I think
they
you
lost
took
Diggs too, and Tank Dell's
yeah
out. So
you took Hampton there at 20. I think that's a spot for a receiver to go. I think the Steelers, they made their trade, and then Loveland went there at 22. So those were kind of the three spots I was looking at wide receivers for earlier on in the year. So
yeah, and I could see the Chargers going receiver. I'm just
yeah,
looking at how Jim Harbaugh thinks. If you look at him historically, I think his best receiver he's ever had is
yeah,
like Michael Crabtree, which I know he was a stud in college, but like
yeah,
in the NFL, he's a above average guy. Let's say he
yeah.
wasn't some superstar.
Some
So
people say he's a sorry receiver, and you shouldn't try him with a sorry receiver like him.
yes, I don't think Jim Harbaugh wants any sorry receivers on his team.
Yeah,
So again, we'll probably do a couple of these leading up to the draft, but this is how the board shook out. In the comments, look at your
yep,
team, roast us, hate on us. That's fine. We'll respond. We'll try to defend our
yep,
picks. Um, we'll see how the board shakes out and falls. It's a
yep,
very odd draft because I think I would say honestly after like pick 4, it could go
yep,
anyway. Like really, the top 4 guys are solidified in Ward, Sanders, Hunter, and Carter. And after that,
yeah,
it can be from 5 to 20, a whole Mod Podge of different names.
yeah. I've
So
seen Tyler Warren fall, and I was like, something said take him at 5, so that was a big change right there, even for me.
absolutely.
So,
A lot
yep.
of
Let us
fun.
know what you guys think. So, be sure to like this video, and like Justin said, leave a comment, and tune in next time to the next episode of Badger Pack Sports. See ya.